Good morning to all the students. Today we are going to have a joint class of plus 2C and plus 2B all together. 56 students have already joined. That's good number. But I guess few students are left only. So let's start the chapter now. As I told you, we have discussed plus 2C has got the introduction of the chapter. Already we have read one page. But plus 2B has joined now today. They have not yet started. So I'll be giving the overview of the chapter once again in detail. So keep the pencils or pens ready in your hand and please open page 13 of your book Flamingo. Chapter is Lost Spring. Fine. Spring is the season of, you can say, flowers, trees, plants all around. Fine. And here it has metaphorical meaning, a deeper meaning. Let others join, they are coming. So here, lost spring means it is directly associated with the lives of, you can say, slum children, those who do not have, you can say, facilities to go to school, or even they're not getting basic facilities in their lives. So that's why author has named the chapter Lost Spring. Means the season of spring is lost in their lives. It has the metaphorical meaning, not the literal meaning. Clear? Now, after telling you the meaning, why it is kept so, I'll be giving you the characters. I'll be discussing about the characters of the chapter. We have basically or mainly two characters around which the chapter will be revolving. The first one is Sahib. Actually, this story is divided in two parts. So we are going to do the very first part today, and second part we'll be doing later on. The first part is sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Actually, it's a sentence or quote written in your book, but actually it is first part of this chapter. Lost Spring is divided in two parts. Clear? First part is sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. This dialogue is uttered by this character, a young boy, a teenager boy, Sahib. His full name is Sahib-e-Alam, but nickname is Sahib, so I'll be using this word again and again. Fine. Second character is author. Author, she's a well-known author. She's written many stories. This is one of the famous stories written by her, by Anis Jung. The introduction of author is written already in your book. We have already discussed also. So now, not wasting much time, I'll be coming back to the story. Author is Anis Jung, but you will be using the word author only. You won't be writing the name. I'm just writing for your knowledge sake. Anis Jung is the author. Is my voice audible? Just send me thumbs up so that I can continue. Okay, beta. Fine. So first part we are doing, sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Clear? Page 13. Now I'll be giving you the overview, then we'll continue from next page. Sahib is the boy who used to live in Dhaka, Bangladesh. He hails from Bangladesh, his background. I'm telling you the background of this boy, Sahib-e-Alam or Sahib. He hails from Bangladesh. And you know, people in Bangladesh, they're very simple people. They're having fields and nature all around. They just do hard work. And on basic means they survive. But what happens, that place faced a natural calamity. Storms occurred over there and it swept away, you can say, the basic amenities from their lives by swiping their fields. Their houses were, you can say, destructed. And these people, all the Bangladeshis who hailed from Dhaka, they were desolated. without any home, you can say without any basic facilities. So there was nothing they could look forward to at their own native place. So due to that, you might have seen many people from such places, from UP, Bihar, Bangladesh, now they come to cities, metro cities. Why do they come? We people say actually there is a problem of survival. They are too poor to afford anything. So this is the only means you can say they get better job opportunities in metro cities, employment opportunities. So in this, Sahib, along with his mother and rest of the members of the family, has shifted. Where he has shifted now, I'll be asking any of you in between whether you're listening or not to check that. Fine. So be prepared accordingly. I'll not continue in one go, whether you are from section B or C. Clear? So I'm just telling you the background of this boy, Sahib. So he hails from Bangladesh, particularly Dhaka. And when their houses and farms, you can say the fields were swept away, they shifted to now where he is, the real situation. Sahib and his family, along with other Bangladeshis, they have shifted to periphery of Delhi, the outskirts of Delhi, you can say the outer edge or outer border, you can say, of Delhi. Clear? Now, why means, and they're leading the life of refugees. Refugees are the people, those who do not have any permanent address. One day they are living here, after months they'll be shifting somewhere else. Wherever they find the place, or you can say the means of survival, they shift there. They are called refugees. So Sahib and his family, along with other thousands of Bangladeshis, they have shifted to periphery of Delhi, outskirts of Delhi. This is the background of this Sahib. And now the present scenario is that Sahib, what he's up to now, what work he has opted for his family, and what other Bangladeshis are doing. They have actually, found a job of scrounging the garbage dumps. Yes, very, you can say, difficult task that he has chosen for himself, because when they came, they did not get any job opportunity immediately. They have to survive anyhow. So they chose scrounging or searching the garbage dumps. You might have seen many poor people keeping the big bag over their shoulders and scrounging the garbage dumps to find any valuable. What is valuable to them? And Sahib says that sometimes he finds a 1 rupee note. Sometimes he even finds a 10 rupee note. Sometimes he finds thrown away shoes, because we people, even if a hole is there or some tattered condition is there of any clothing or any object, then we throw away directly into the garbage. So these people scrounge or search the garbage dumps to find some valuable for them. Then garbage to them is gold. This statement is written in, you can say, in this chapter. So why garbage to them is gold? Very important concept it is. Why garbage to them is gold? Because gold does not mean the real gold. Gold here means anything which is useful to them, anything which is valuable to them. So that becomes gold for them. Clear? This is the condition of Sahib and rest of the other Bangladeshi families. Now, talking about the author Anis June, she herself will be presenting herself in the chapter. She has not chosen any mouthpiece. Beta, any Dipin Taneja is there, because child has not written the class. Sorry for the inconvenience. Students are sending requests. Okay, beta. So, clear. Now, I was talking about background of Sahib is done. Now, author Anis Jung, she herself will be there in this chapter interacting with the, you can say, people from Bangladesh, Sahib and his friends. She herself will be interacting with them. She has not chosen any, I was telling you, she has not chosen any mouthpiece. She herself will be the character in the story. Clear? But you will not be using the word Anis Jung, you will be using the word author only. Clear? Because they have done the same in this chapter. We follow the text only. Clear? And she will be posing some silly questions, you can say, which she is not supposed to ask a boy. Whenever when she meets Sahib for the first time, she asks question, what are you doing this? Why are you scrounging garbage dumps? Second time she meets, and she lives nearby in the neighborhood only, the garbage dumps are there, and she finds Sahib on daily basis and other boys also. And she poses some questions, and after posing such questions, she realizes how hollow the questions are. Means how false the statements she is putting forward to these boys. And next time she meets Sahib, why don't you go to school? She asks that to Sahib. It's quite obvious if a child is scrounging garbage dumps, he does not have, you can say, proper means of survival. He does not, if the person does not have basic means of survival, how can we imagine that the child will go to school? That is the next phase. Then again, she asks why you are not wearing, she asks to Sahib and his friends, why you people are not wearing shoes? You know, they remain barefoot because they cannot afford to buy chappals or shoes or such things, or any footwear, you can say. Clear? So this is the condition of perpetual state of poverty, everlasting state of poverty in the case of Sahib, and author keeps on asking such questions, and the question answer keeps on going, and then we get to know about the character of Sahib with the questions and interaction of author with Sahib. Clear? So now please note down few word meanings. Then again, I'll be telling you, we have already discussed, but even then today, because new students have joined, page 13, note down. I'm not able to write with my font. Meanings. Please note down. Scrounging, I have used this word already. Scrounging means searching. Second word is glibly. Glibly meaning is informally, very casually. Is screen visible to everyone, or I need to adjust the camera? Kindly tell me. Clear it up? Glibly, informally, hollow. Hollow means false, empty. On next page we have bleak. Bleak again is cold or dull, you can say. In the context of this chapter that I am writing, bleak is cold or dull, very, you can say, faded. Then we have shuffles. Shuffles or drags. I repeat, scrounging, searching, glibly, informally, hollow, false, bleak, cold or dull, shuffles, drags. Clear? I'm just giving you a minute to note down these word meaning, then I'll be explaining. From page 14 onwards, I'll be starting from page 14. Okay, shall I start, beta? Okay, let's start. Page 14. 13 we are done. Even 14 few paragraphs were done. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. So when author poses this question, why don't you go to school? Firstly, she posed the question, why do you scrounge the, you can say, garbage dumps? Why do you do this? She asked the Sahib. And because every day when she goes out, she sees Sahib and other friends doing this, scrounging the garbage dumps. And then Sahib told that because they have left home, I have nothing else to do. This was the answer given by, he mutters, means he speaks not much loudly, you can say. In his mouth, he was trying to mutter a few words that I have nothing else to do. See the innocent explanation. Clear? There are students who are not paying attention. I guess now I'll be asking a few of you to unmute and I'll be asking a few questions of the background of Sahib. Clear? Then I'll continue. I want to know. Abhishek Kumar, unmute yourself. Plus 2B Abhishek Kumar, unmute yourself. Don't get worried, beta. I'll be asking very easy questions. Just want to know. I'm not asking you to switch on the video, only the audio part. Abhishek, you can speak, beta. Not interested? Okay, let me find someone else then. Vanshika Saini, unmute yourself.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, beta. Beta, you just tell me a brief introduction about the background of Sahib in 3 lines.
He belongs from Bangladesh, basically from Dhaka.
Yes.
And due to some conditions, they shifted from Bangladesh to the outskirts of the Delhi.
Very good. And what he is doing here now at periphery of or outskirts of Delhi, what he is doing? What is the job he has opted of scrounging the? Vanshika, can you hear me better?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the job he has opted now? What does he do? He searches the garbage dumps.
Okay.
Fine. So please listen carefully. The whole information. You can mute yourself. Suhani, unmute yourself. Suhani.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, beta.
Good morning.
Let's speak loudly, beta. You just tell me, I already gave the background of Sahib. What is the full name of Sahib? I told you in the beginning.
Sahib-e-Alam.
Yes, Sahib-e-Alam, which means Lord of Universe. Actually, the name is ironical. Name is Sahib, but what he does is scrounging garbage dumps. Clear? Okay, you can mute yourself. Fine, I'll be continuing the chapter now. You people are listening, those who are paying attention, those who are not, please don't listen to the half information, that is more dangerous to you. Fine, so listen to each and every part of your text. So I told you that firstly she asked, why do you do this? Sahib answered, I have nothing else to do. What an innocent answer he gives. Then second question posed by the author is, go to school. When he says, I have nothing else to do, she says, go to school. She's asking a boy who does not have basic amenities to go to school. Then he says on page 14, beta, I'll be reading the text alongside. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. So that was the answer given by this boy, that because there is no school, whenever they will build one, I will go to the school. If I start a school, will you come? I asked, half joking. This is not a thing to joke about. Author Annie's joke, she half jokingly said, okay, if I start a school, as if starting a school is very easy thing. She asks in a very casual way. Then he says, yes, smiling broadly, but he was taking it seriously because he's just a child. He's innocent. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? See, I told you he was taking it seriously. After a few days, again, Annie assumed that author, she was passing by. Sahib noticed that author is coming and he ran towards her and asked, is your school ready? He thought that as if she's preparing that building, making that building of school for children like Sahib. He asked, is your school ready? Now author was embarrassed. She was embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. But promises like mine abound in every formula of his Greek word. She says that she was ashamed of herself. Why did she say so to that boy? That I will, if I will do this, will be mine. And then after saying so, she's talking to herself only. She said, like the kind of fake promise I have made to Sahib, such kind of promises are being made on daily basis. Abound means it is in abundance, in greater quantity, because many politicians, many people come over there and make fake promises to them. So it's okay if I have made one fake promise. After months of knowing him, I asked him his name, Sahib Alam, he announces. After meeting n number of times to that boy, she asked, what is your name? He says, Sahib Alam. He does not know what it means. See, this is the irony. What is the irony in the name of this boy? That name is Sahib Alam. Irony is when something opposite is going to happen. What is expected, but opposite of it happens. That is irony. So, name is Sahib Alam. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. It means he would not believe that job he is doing is quite opposite. Clear? So, then after that, unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds. Like morning birds come and go. Similarly, it seems over the months I have come to recognize each of them. Now author has started recognizing each of them because she sees them on daily basis. Why aren't you wearing chappals? I asked one. Again, another question asked by the author. That why are you not wearing chappals? My mother did not bring them down from the shelf, he answers simply. So one of the boys, he answered, because my mother has kept the chappals over the shelf. Even if she did, he will throw them off, adds another. Another friend, he was standing nearby, he said, even if his mother would give chappals to him, he would throw them away. Why throw them away? Because they are not habitual of wearing any kind of footwear. They are habitual of roaming here and there, bare feet only. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. Shuffles means drags. I already told you the meaning is. Shuffles, you can say meaning is drags. So, he actually becomes conscious that author is looking at my feet without shoes. I want shoes, says a third boy. So this conversation quite important. First says even if she My mother has put them on the shelf. Other says he will throw it away if mother gives. Third says I want shoes. Who never owned a pair all his life. See, we people have, you can say, wishes which are quite huge. We ask our parents to fulfill our wishes. I want Apple, iPhone, I want this and that, branded clothing and all. He just wants a pair of shoes because he has never ever even, owned a pair of shoes throughout his life. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot. In cities, on village roads, it is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. Underline this line. Author now is giving explanations, various explanations. This is one of your textual questions, beta. So please note down. Author here is giving explanations that why people do not wear shoes and they give such explanation. It is not lack of money actually. It is, according to author, has become a tradition to remain barefoot is one explanation. Number one. I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. Number two. Second reason is maybe it is an excuse of giving that actually they are in perpetual. Perpetual is everlasting, which never ends. Vicious. You might have read this word in economics, the students of commerce. Perpetual state of poverty. Vicious circle of poverty. So second is this reason. Fine. Bell has gone, beta. So I'll be winding up. Tomorrow we'll continue from this page only, page 15. But you need to do two questions. Page 17. First question is, what is Sahib looking for in garbage dumps? Where is he and where has he come from? I already asked one of the students. Clear? And second is, what explanations does the author offer for the children not wearing footwear? These two questions are already discussed with you people. So you will be writing the answers and I'll be asking you people tomorrow. Okay, beta? Have a nice day. Keep attending the classes on regular basis.